If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring the AI impact on jobs. Anthropic's own analysis found no systematic increase in unemployment among highly exposed workers since late 2022, despite its co-founder warning that artificial intelligence could wipe out half of entry-level jobs within 1 to 5 years. That tension sits at the center of the AI jobs apocalypse probably isn't coming anytime soon. An opinion article by Eduardo Porter, published by The Guardian, on Downty, July 2026. Porter examines whether the promised economic upheaval is arriving, why the evidence remains mixed, and whether society would accept the financial and environmental cost of building artificial intelligence at the scale its advocates imagine. Anthropic is the company behind Claude. In May 2025, its co-founder Dario Amodei warned that AI might eliminate half of entry-level jobs within 1 to 5 years. He later described AI as a possible general substitute for human labor. Those are extraordinary claims. Yet according to Anthropic's March analysis, deployment remains far below what is technically possible. Claude currently covers about 33% of tasks in computer and mathematics occupations, although Anthropic estimates it could theoretically perform nearly 100%. That gap between capability and deployment really matters. A demonstration tells us that a system can complete a task under certain conditions. It doesn't tell us whether organizations can introduce it reliably, affordably, and safely across thousands of messy, real-world situations. Schools know this difference rather well. A tool may produce a polished lesson plan in 30 seconds. That doesn't mean it understands the Year 8 geography class arriving after lunch, the reading range in the room, or why one particular student has gone unusually quiet. The debate around AI and unemployment often treats a job as though it were one indivisible activity. It isn't. Teaching is a bundle of tasks. Explaining, questioning, planning, recording, assessing, safeguarding, motivating, and making judgments with incomplete information. AI may reduce the time spent drafting a quiz or adapting a text. That doesn't amount to replacing the teacher. Porter uses what economists sometimes call the O-ring argument. The name comes from the rubber seal, whose failure contributed to the Challenger space shuttle disaster in 1986. The principle is that a relatively small task can determine whether the whole system works. If AI completes 90% of a workflow but fails unpredictably on the critical 10%, the human handling that final portion may become more valuable, not less. Consider assessment. An AI system could sort written responses, highlight patterns, and suggest feedback. But if it misreads a student's unusual argument, overlooks cultural context, or confidently invents a misconception, teacher judgment becomes the O-ring. The machine's speed increases the importance of careful human review. The real value is not in what the machine produces, but in how the teacher or student responds. There's still a risk here. If schools automate the visible administrative tasks but don't protect time for professional judgment, teachers may simply inherit more checking. The workload changes shape rather than shrinking. A school leader buying an AI platform should therefore ask a practical question: which minutes are genuinely being returned to staff, and what will those minutes be used for? A license count tells you almost nothing about educational value. If you'd like more considered analysis of AI in education, follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. The article also points to weak productivity growth. Despite soaring spending on data centers, labor productivity during the first 3 years of the current AI boom was slower than during the information technology expansion that began in the mid-1990s. OpenAI chief executive Sam Altman has now said he doesn't expect the jobs apocalypse described by some AI companies. Massachusetts Institute of Technology economist David Autor observes that the world simply hasn't changed as quickly as many predicted. That doesn't settle the issue. Economist Jed Kolko notes that research into AI's labor market effects is still at an early stage. Businesses may need years to reorganize around the technology, just as computers took time to appear in productivity statistics. AI job displacement could arrive unevenly, affecting junior roles, particular sectors, or specific regions long before it becomes visible in national unemployment figures. Education leaders should pay close attention to those entry points. If AI removes routine early career work, how do people develop expertise? A new teacher learns through planning, marking, observing patterns, and sometimes struggling with work that an experienced colleague completes quickly. Outsource too much of that doing, and we may accidentally outsource some of the thinking as well. Productive struggle is an inefficiency when it builds judgment. I'd apply the same concern to students. Suppose a Year 8 geography student asks Claude to compare flood management strategies and receives a competent answer instantly. The issue isn't simply whether the answer is correct. Has the student selected evidence, dealt with conflicting priorities, and justified a decision for a particular community? Schools need assessment that captures the product, the process, and a live performance of understanding. Otherwise, apparent efficiency creates cognitive debt. Porter's more unsettling argument concerns cost. The International Energy Agency estimates that data center energy demand could more than double by 2030, reaching around 945 terawatt hours, more than Japan's current electricity consumption. 7 in 10 Americans reportedly oppose an AI data center being built in their area. That's a reminder that the AI economic impact isn't determined by model capability alone. Electricity prices, planning permission, public consent, and rapidly depreciating hardware all shape what can actually be deployed. Dario Amodei is deeply skeptical about the economics, arguing that model developers are losing hundreds of billions of dollars. Whether that precise assessment proves correct remains unclear, but governments shouldn't build education policy around the assumption that today's subsidized prices will last. A tool that appears affordable during a heavily funded pilot may become expensive once a school system depends on it. Procurement needs exit plans, data portability, and evidence of learning impact, not forecasts supplied by the vendor. My view is that the article is right to discount both panic and certainty. The available evidence doesn't support confident claims of an imminent employment collapse. It also can't rule out substantial disruption as capability, adoption, and organizational redesign advance. David Autor's phrase captures part of the limitation. Not everything is a computational problem. Schools are full of work shaped by trust, context, care, and judgment. So, when we discuss AI in education jobs, we should examine tasks rather than announce the death of professions. Use AI to hold complexity, reduce repetitive work, and widen access to support. Keep humans accountable for consequential decisions. Measure student outcomes and staff well-being rather than how often a platform is opened. The AI impact on jobs will be decided less by what a model can demonstrate, and more by what institutions can afford, communities will accept, and humans still need to learn by doing. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.